Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talked about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All right. So we all know about rumors, right? We've all heard them. We've all seen the origins. We know some of them that can turn out to be true, some of them that are complete BS. What do you know about rumors? A lot of times people don't really do a lot of digging when it comes to rumors. The juicier, the better, right? Also, when a rumor was wrong, they don't remember that. They remember when a rumor turns out to be true, but when a rumor doesn't turn out to be true, it's like there's another rumor that takes its place, right? So, what is the downside of running with rumors? This is one of the things that I really hate about media in general, but specifically sports media. If you guys have listened to me from any length of time, you know I don't like the mainstream media market outlets, especially for sports. They're tainted, okay? I think they're just a bunch of bobbleheads. They're script readers. They're teleprompter readers. That's all they are, okay? Very, very seldom do they have an independent thought away from what the umbrella company wants, the narrative that wants to be pushed. Okay, now that that's out of the way. With rumors, today's media, especially sports media, they're more concerned with getting things out there first than getting things out there right. That's one of the things that people come to me and say, well, we already heard about this. This was yesterday's news. This was news this morning, and you're barely putting out a video. Yeah, I'm not going to jump on all this bullshit just because it's something that's hot in the news right now. That's for other people to do. Some of these people are very successful at what they do, and I'm not taking anything away from them. They're doing a good job at what they're doing. That's not me. I'm not going to run with bullshit. Okay, a lot of people do that, and they want to do that, and that's fine. They're allowed to, and that's okay. That's just not me. If that's what you're looking for here, you're not going to get it here. You're not going to get a bunch of made up BS and all this other stuff. That's not what happens here. Okay. Whenever I speculate on things, I let you know right up front, I feel this. This is what I'm thinking. This can happen. I'm not saying, oh, I heard from a couple of people. If I told you that I heard from somebody something, it's because I heard directly from that person something. Or I was standing next to somebody that was told something. It's not like third, fourth, down the line information, okay? I hear a lot of things that I don't report on. Why? Because I didn't hear that person tell me. If I hear stuff, it's because the person themselves is telling me, or somebody who works in the vicinity or whatever, and I'll tell you what it is. So hope you guys can appreciate that. I just want to get that out of the way because this one is really burning. This whole Lamar Jackson to the Raiders thing started in like 2023. All right, Lamar was having an issue. They were they're talking about franchising him again, or after thinking about doing it the year before and all this other stuff. The Ravens were like going back and forth on whether to give Lamar a deal or not. They ended up paying him. Okay, and Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, they even said recently that extending Lamar is one of the big issues in the offseason. Okay, fine. They have Jesse Minter as their head coach now. We'll talk about some of that later. The reason I'm talking about this is because good old Mike, make it up as you go along, Florio, blurted out there that the Raiders are going to trade for Lamar Jackson. And he said it on his show, and he went on and on about, well, these are the reasons why it's going to happen. It's all speculation, and he's trying to connect dots that aren't even close. It doesn't make sense for the Raiders to do it, but here's what he said.
And I know that Ravens fans don't want to hear this because no fan wants to hear about the thing that they worry about at night, the thing that keeps them up, worrying that something is going to happen that they don't want to have happen. I do not believe it is certain that Lamar Jackson will be with the Ravens in 2026. I think there are more dominoes to fall and more things to be determined. And even though Steve Bisciotti has the power when it comes to hiring the head coach, Lamar Jackson has tremendous power as it relates to the relationship with the Ravens. And if he decides he wants out, whether he communicates it privately or publicly, if he wants out, that changes everything. And have we not already seen the NFL's rubber band stretch so far with craziness this offseason? It wouldn't be any more crazy if Lamar Jackson decides he wants to move on. It's less crazy than what we've already seen. And just because Harbaugh's gone does not mean Lamar is staying. And frankly, you could make the argument that maybe now is the time to move on, that a new coach won't be saddled with those same expectations that the new Bills coach is going to have to take the MVP quarterback and go to the next level. That if the Ravens get an offer they can't or won't refuse for Lamar Jackson, maybe they'll take it. Now, I believed as of last month when the Mike Preston column in the Baltimore Sun shined a light on multiple different things that may be happening, that may be not conducive to the best possible relationship between player and team. My assessment is it's going to be hard to find a trade partner because you're going to have to find a way to get a contract done with Lamar on the way through the door, something it took the Ravens 3 years to do with Lamar Jackson because he doesn't have an agent. There's a communication gap that needs to be bridged immediately if you're going to do that trade. And you got to be willing to give the Ravens enough so they'll do it. I wrote something over the weekend about the possibility that Tom Brady, now in the spotlight, now under scrutiny for the state of the Raiders, he avoided it somehow in 2025, even though it was Tom's show. He didn't get the blame for it when the show closed after opening night. This time around, there's a sense that Brady feels compelled to make a big swing. And I saw somebody push back on that. I think somebody that covers the Raiders pushed back on it, said, oh, their days of making big swings are over. Let me know when the days of making big swings started.
All right, that's what Make It Up Florio had to say. Look, these are things that this person said, and these are reasons why it could. That's the basis for all this rumor. That's the basis for all this nonsense. Now, Jeremy Fowler, who I actually like, he did something that really kind of pissed me off. He put out like a survey, like a questionnaire to executives and stuff like that throughout the NFL. I can almost guarantee you that one of those questions was, what's the wildest thing you think that can happen? Give me one wild thing that will blow the roof off the NFL. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to have any basis. It's just what I think would be wild to have happen in the NFL, right? Makes sense, okay? But then don't report it as something different, because this is what happened. Jeremy Fowler reported multiple NFL executives and scouts boldly predicted a Jackson to Raiders trade as their top offseason forecast, calling it the ultimate Mark Davis move. Again, this is not something that they think is going to happen or that they're hearing rumblings about it happening. These are things that are like, what's the wildest thing? This wasn't a question of what are you hearing or what have you heard or what's on the horizon. It's what do you think is the boldest move that can happen this offseason? But that's not how it's being reported. That's not how it's being laid out. That's not how it's being communicated. Total and complete nonsense, man. Total and complete BS. Listen to Jesse Merrick from Silver and Black Sports Network. I like Jesse Merrick's stuff, man. If you're not following him, follow Silver and Black Sports Network. I really like his stuff. I'm trying to get him on the show. It's tough to get him on the show, but I'm going to try. I like his stuff. Listen to what he has to say.
Let's keep it real on the whole Lamar Jackson thing. You make that move if you are a Lamar Jackson or a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl or making a big-time playoff run. The Raiders aren't in that situation right now. You know what I mean? Like, they're still building. John Spytek said it again in that post-game or postseason press conference. He said, we know we have a mountain to climb, and we don't want to do it in a day. He noted the fact that like 10 wins next season would be huge for them. They'd love that, but they're not aiming for that because they want to build this thing the right way. And I think with Lamar and trading in that situation, like you're taking on a contract, and you're going to have to pay the dude eventually. I don't know what his contract is. I haven't looked into it a ton because I just don't believe that whatsoever. I thought that report was ridiculous. There's no way the Raiders are going to make that move and trade Lamar. You draft a young quarterback in Fernando Mendoza at the top of the draft, and you take advantage of him on that rookie deal, use all that cap space, and over the next 2 to 3 years, you build up around him, and boom, if you get it right with your coach, things just start to turn around for your franchise. And that's, I think, their plan and what they want to do going forward. So, yeah, I don't think there's any chance that they go ahead and do that.
The man said so right there. What else do you want to say? What more do you want to say? It's not in line with what the Raiders have done the last 2 seasons. If they wanted to go after a Lamar Jackson, they would have gone with more free agents, higher-end free agents last season. They would have traded picks to bring in veterans, and they wouldn't have traded to get more picks. They wouldn't have traded back twice in the second round to accumulate more draft picks. They wouldn't have done that. The only thing that was against the grain was the thing that Pete Carroll wanted, which was trading for Geno Smith. That's the only thing that happened that was against the grain of we're going to build for the future. It just doesn't make any sense right now. You're going to spend the last season and a half, going and trying to play rookies and young people and getting these guys on first contracts out there to get them experience, to get a Lamar Jackson who wasn't, just barely missed the playoffs and got his coach fired basically because they didn't make the playoffs. So he's right there on the cusp, used to going to the playoffs every single season, used to being a Super Bowl contender every single year. To go to a startup, he has a no trade clause. He's not going to want to do it anyway. So that's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. That's how these rumors start. Again, we don't remember when the rumor is wrong. We remember when the rumor ends up being right. When the rumor is wrong, there's just a new rumor to take its place. Okay. And this is the case that's happening right now with the whole Lamar Jackson to the Raiders. All right. If we can just move along from that, let's just talk about something that's a little bit more pertinent to what's happening to the Raiders right now. The whole coaching carousel. Okay, let's go ahead and do a quick recap. The Giants hired John Harbaugh. The Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski. The Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley, the former defensive coordinator from the Packers. The Titans hire Robert Saleh. And then earlier today, it was reported that the Ravens had signed Jesse Minter to a 5-year deal. Okay, 5 down, 5 to go. That leaves the Cardinals, the Bills, the Browns, the Raiders, and the Steelers. All right. So here's the deal, brother. Here's the deal, brothers. The Cardinals are going to have a tough time getting a coach. The Browns are having a tough time to even have people come and interview. The Bills have a couple of guys on the radar. Joe Brady, who was their offensive coordinator. There's Grant Udinski, who's the offensive coordinator for the Jags. The issue with that is he's not a play caller. Liam Cohen is the play caller in Jacksonville. The big name that's being pushed, that's made a late push recently, is Brian Daboll, the former coach of the Giants. He was the guy that had the really good connection early on with Josh Allen. We'll see. We'll see. I think if Josh Allen has anything to say about it, and I think he does have a lot of say in what happens with the coach, I think he would want Brian Daboll to come in. Because look, Brian Daboll is another one of those guys that's kind of caught in, and he's a victim of happenstance, of circumstance. He's a victim in this respect, okay? When he had Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, everything was fine. He went to the playoffs, won a playoff game. They paid Daniel Jones, and they didn't play Saquon Barkley. He ended up leaving, and then the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Paid the wrong guy. Now, that's not Brian Daboll. That's Joe Shane, who's still there, mind you. They move up. They get their guy. It's a rough going because people are getting hurt. You don't have Malik Neighbors. You lose your running back. A lot of people are getting hurt on the offensive side. I don't know. I don't think it was fair for Daboll to get fired when your one passing threat or your main passing threat for your rookie quarterback and your running back who for your rookie quarterback. What do you need from a rookie quarterback? You need a reliable target and you need a running game. Well, those two guys got hurt. The starters at least did. And you weren't winning any games. You weren't winning a lot of games. So, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for Brian Daboll to get hired with the Bills. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think the front office made some bad moves, and he had some bad luck when it came to injury. When he's still, it's different when you're with the Niners and you have a lot of injuries because you have years and years since 2017, Shanahan being there, of growing that program together with Lynch, right? You can absorb for a good amount of time some injury. When you're just starting to build something up and you have catastrophic injuries, trust what happened last or 2 seasons ago with us. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be catastrophic, right? So that's when the patience thing comes into play. I think the Giants failed the assignment successfully, all right? I think they got rid of Daboll a little bit too early, but they ended up getting Harbaugh, so it could work out for them. And that could be really good for the Bills. Now, what does that mean for the Raiders? Well, that means since Minter has taken one of former MVP quarterback job, now Lamar Jackson, MVP quarterback, he now has a new head coach. If Daboll goes to the Bills, the most attractive place for an offensive-minded head coach is now your Las Vegas Raiders, because now they have the number 1 overall pick, top franchise quarterback in the draft, MVP of this place, MVP of that bowl, MVP of all the bowls, the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. Without those two quarterbacks, Lamar and Josh Allen, those guys already have coaches. If Daboll goes to the Bills, that means the top spot for the offensive coach who wants to really get his hands and have the timetable and the time frame to build something with the new organization is going to be all Raiders. Who are those guys going to be? Well, a lot of people talk about Klint Kubiak, who I think is the number one choice, and is my number one choice as well. I really like what he's done with that Seahawks offense. I think the Seahawks offense is balanced. They really only have one explosive target in Jackson Smith and Jigba, but they have a lot of other guys that they use really well. They use the running game to their advantage. They use a lot of screens. I love the way that he gets the offensive lineman on the move. I love when he runs those outside zones of his, but he also mixes some inside power runs. These are things that I love about offenses. Balanced, keep the defense on their heels, keep them off balance on the defenses. I think he would be a great hire. Does he have head coaching experience? No, but because you're drafting a number one quarterback, you know that you're not going to be good right away because you're not drafting number one if you're a good team. If you're drafting number one, that means you're a bad team, right? But things have been turning around quickly for some of these teams in the second year of the rookie quarterback. So could it be sooner than later? It could be, especially if the ball gets rolling offensively. A good quarterback erases a lot. It covers a lot of stink on teams, but you also have some good playmakers on the defensive side. Maybe you add a couple of more in free agency or through the draft, but definitely Klint Kubiak skyrockets to the top of the list as the number one destination the Raiders would be if everything goes as I'm saying. Minter already has taken Lamar off the board. That's already a done deal. Daboll going to the Bills is going to be something huge for the Raiders because that means that's a pipeline directly for Klint Kubiak to be the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's an XY Sport channel. It's absolutely free. I really hope you guys like this new chronicling of the head coaches and possibilities and then addressing some rumors today and what I think about them. I'm doing this for you guys because there's not a lot going on right now as far as the Raiders go, but any news that there is, I want to bring it right to you. All of that and all I ask in return is that you tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody Raiders versus the world is the greatest and going to Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop a comment. Make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.